Hey everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson. This is my review for Bad Boys for Life, which is the third film in the Bad Boys franchise and once again reunites Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. So this movie follows the two main characters, played by Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, as Martin Lawrence's character is about to go into retirement, but a horrific series of events start happening that might be connected to Will Smith's past, but the two of them are on the case for one last ride. At least until they make the fourth movie. So in the last review, I mentioned that I did a double feature of Doolittle and Bad Boys for Life. And in the case of Bad Boys, I went into this with the perspective of somebody who has never seen the first two movies. And part of that reason comes from the fact that I don't like Michael Bay movies. The first Bad Boys was Michael Bay's first movie, and the second one is the one that people say has the best action and is one of his good movies. And I've never seen them, but I feel like if you get Michael Bay to do something completely original that is purely Michael Bay, that he can make his own, then it's fine. Armageddon might be a terrible movie, but at least it's its own thing, and it has a little bit of a charm to it, as bad as it can be. It's when you give Michael Bay something like Pearl Harbor or 5 Transformers movies, where I really do not like him as a director. But this movie isn't directed by Michael Bay. It's directed by two Belgian directors whose names I'm not even going to try to pronounce because I'd be here all day trying to do that. And with all that setup I just laid out, never seen the first two movies and coming into this one completely fresh, I don't know if it was because I saw this right after Doolittle or that this movie's actually as fun as it is, but I had a lot of fun with Bad Boys for Life. And after seeing Bad Boys for Life, it's really easy to see how this franchise was an influence for Hot Fuzz and how brilliantly they parodied Bad Boys. So what is it about this movie that made it so much fun for somebody who's never seen the other movies? Well, for one thing, the dynamic between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. Even though I'd never seen the first two Bad Boys, I feel like the reason people say that they're one of Michael Bay's best is probably because of the dynamic between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. These two guys have really great chemistry with each other, and they just play off each other so well. With Will Smith pretty much playing Will Smith, and Martin Lawrence playing the comic relief. Admittedly, there are a few points where Martin Lawrence's comic relief got a little too over the top, but this movie never goes down a path to where he got annoying to me. The worst that you'll ever get out of Martin Lawrence in this movie is that he'll make a funny statement in the middle of a very dramatic scene, and it just feels out of place. But most of his jokes work, and Will Smith is just as charismatic as he ever is. I mean, he's Will Smith. And not only is it just the camaraderie between these two guys that works, but the situations they get into a lot of the times are really, really funny. There's a moment in this movie where they're chasing down an assassin before he can reach his next target. They're too late, and the whole sequence with the two of them discovering that they were too late to save the target had me not only laughing, but choking with laughter. I was probably the only one in that theater laughing as hard as I did because it was just so dark yet so funny all at the same time. And again, that might have to do with the fact that I just came out of Doolittle, in which I did not chuckle once. So again, it could be that I just came out of one of the worst movies of 2020, or this movie is as funny as it is. The action is a lot of fun. It's very brutal as well. This is definitely an R-rated movie, and there are just so many moments when watching the action scenes I went, oh, wow. And I actually did like some of the side characters as well. You have Paola Núñez as one of the Miami police officers, and then you have Joe Pantoliano, who I think was in the other movies as the police captain, and he's really funny as well. His dynamic between Will Smith and Martin Lawrence is good, even if there are points where he really does come across as the cliched angry police captain. And then you have people like Vanessa Hudgens, who normally I don't think is a very good actress, but I actually liked her character in this movie. And then also Michael Bay shows up in this movie in a cameo, and for the little time he was on, he actually made me laugh. If I had any problems with this movie, outside of the few moments where Martin Lawrence's one-liners got in the way of a dramatic scene, it's that the movie goes on for a little too long. I actually went into this movie dreading that it was going to be 2.5 hours, because given that it's a sequel to a Michael Bay movie, and Michael Bay likes to have his movies be ridiculously long, that's where the concern came in. But it was actually just a tad over 2 hours, which was a fine length, but there are a lot of moments in this movie where it really started to drag. It mainly had to do with some dramatic moments that just quite didn't work for me, and this is going to sound completely shallow, but there were points where I was thinking, okay, can we just get past the dramatic moments and go back to the action and you guys being cool and funny? I know some of you out there are probably shaking your fists at me for saying that, but again, you got to keep in mind that I've only seen this movie. I never saw the first two, so I don't have the full context. But if there's something else that I could say about this movie that is good, it makes me want to go and watch the first two Bad Boys. But that also puts me in a crossroad because that means I'm excited to see a Michael Bay movie. Scratch that, 2 Michael Bay movies. And that's something that I never thought I'd have to say in my lifetime. But to sum things up, Bad Boys for Life was a lot of fun. The action is fast-paced, it's brutal, the 2 leads are very funny and charismatic, and I just had a ton of fun with this movie. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's a really good time. I would say it's definitely good. I'm not going to say it's great. It's not something that's worth seeing in your lifetime unless you've already seen the first 2 Bad Boys and you're a fan of this series. However, I imagine in that case you probably already saw this movie. But if you're one that's not really into these loud action movies, then it might not work for you. But I will say if you are a fan of these kinds of movies and you're worried it's going to be something incredibly stupid, it's not as over the top as you think. I had a lot of fun with this. I didn't expect to, but hey, I love the surprises. And there you go, that's my review for Bad Boys for Life. And now I want to know what you guys think about the movie. If you've seen it, what did you think? If you've seen the first 2 Bad Boys, which one of them is your favorite? Whatever the case may be, let me know in the comments below. And until next time, I hope you enjoyed this review. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give this video a like, leave a comment, support my Patreon page, follow me on social media. And until then, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you, there's only one.